This is KOAA News 5 Special Edition.
Welcome to this special edition of News 5. I'm Diane Derby. Here at News 5, we are committed to standing up for what's right by listening to you and helping you navigate the challenges you face every day. Let's now go back and show how we, together over this past year, have worked to make Southern Colorado a better place to live. We begin with the story of being an advocate of accountability. The National Mill Dog Rescue here in El Paso County rescued more than 160 dogs from a Western Slope breeding facility. As I was covering this story, I dug into the inspection documents and pressed the state as to why they allowed these terrible conditions to continue. The video is hard to watch. This is what it looked like on June 21st, 2025, as the team and volunteers at National Mill Dog Rescue in Peyton took in more than 160 dogs from what the State Department of Agriculture calls a breeding facility in Delta, Colorado.
It was alarming. It was shocking.
NMDR Director of Operations Sarah Thompson said most dogs were so severely matted they had to have emergency grooming.
Inside the hair were maggots and rodent feces.
How were they surviving?
You got me. You know, it's a miracle that they did. I suspect many more were lost before we got there due to the conditions.
Just 3 days before that rescue, state animal welfare inspectors showed up unannounced for a complaint investigation of a dog, cat, and bird breeding facility owned by Barbara Bowman. The inspection report says the inspector found one deceased adult dog and 2 deceased puppies in outdoor enclosures with other living dogs. The report says the adult deceased dog was decomposing and had a large number of maggots visible. When asked about the dog, the inspector noted in the report Bowman was, quote, unaware of the deceased dog in the enclosure, and neither of her employees had said anything to her. The inspector also noted there was no water in the enclosure with the dead dog, and the outside temperature at the time of inspection was 92 degrees Fahrenheit. Among the dead dogs were also matted dogs. According to the report, most of the 137 miniature Schnauzer-type dogs were severely matted. The report says they did not have the freedom of movement, could not perform normal bodily functions, and the health and welfare of the animals were severely compromised. The report said Bowman, quote, stated it had been over a year since the dogs had been groomed, and she knew it was bad. The state called it a repeat direct violation, even citing an inspection in March of 2022 where 54 dogs had matted hair and were in need of grooming. These documents show an inspector did follow up in person 42 days later to make sure those dogs had been groomed. But the state did not go back to that property again until this summer, more than 3 years later.
I'll be the first one to admit this one kind of fell through the cracks.
Pet Animal Care and Facilities Act, or PACFA Program Section Chief Nick Fisher told me the state tries to inspect each of its breeding facilities once a year and hits that goal nearly 90% of the time.
From 2022 to now, we should have been out there again.
But 2022 was not the first time Bowman's dogs were found with matted hair. In 2015, an inspector found 10 dogs in outdoor enclosures with matted hair that will require removal before the mats interfere with movement or cleanliness. The only proof the matted hair was removed was this handwritten letter from Bowman saying she had done it. Then in 2020, an inspector found 2 dogs with matted hair that could prevent movement and sight. Again, the only proof that this was corrected was this letter from Bowman saying she had done it. The state admits in both cases, no follow-up inspection was done. It's hard to imagine why you wouldn't go back in person when it appears on the documentation that the matting was impeding their movement, their sight, their cleanliness.
Well, yeah, I mean, to that, I guess, is you're talking about inspections 10 years ago. And I think what we try to do is it's a voluntary compliance program. We have 2,400 facilities. We have to rely on our facilities, for compliance.
The only disciplinary action I could find for her was a $500 fine in 2022 for selling cats and birds and not being licensed to do so. So why would you give her a fine for that, but not severe matting?
I don't have an answer to that question.
So many questions still remain. The 7th Judicial District Attorney's Office will not comment on the current animal cruelty charges since the case is under investigation. And unless she's convicted of those charges, the state cannot revoke her license, but they can suspend it. Why not proceed already with the suspension?
We could, and we probably will. I think we're just finalizing, kind of our investigative part of it. Kind of dovetailing with the sheriff's department's investigations.
Bowman pleaded guilty to 15 of the more than 250 counts of misdemeanor animal cruelty charges filed against her. Her sentencing is scheduled for January 9th. We are also a station that listens to you. Earlier this year, new signs popped up at National Park Service sites all across the nation. Those signs encourage visitors to report any negative displays or messaging about America. News 5 senior reporter Brett Forrest went to one of those sites in southeastern Colorado to see these signs for himself and to listen to people's concerns about the consequences these signs could have.
On a windy weekday, as temperatures flirt with triple digits, only a handful of people are visiting the Sand Creek Massacre National Historic Site on Colorado's southeastern plains. Those here might spot two new signs posted June 13th, encouraging visitors to scan a QR code and report anything negative about either past or living Americans or that fail to emphasize the beauty, grandeur, and abundance of landscapes and other natural features.
We were worried about whitewashing and really just watering down and sanitizing the foundation of this country, and it weakens us. I know these are hard stories to tell.
In November 1864, American troops massacred hundreds of Cheyenne and Arapaho men, women, and children as they sought peace during America's Western colonial expansion.
This is one big indication that this administration doesn't really understand what the Park Service is for and just how beneficial parks are to tell our full story.
So how did we get here? On March 27th, President Trump signed an executive order titled Restoring Truth and Sanity to American History, where he claims there's been a decade-long effort to cast American history in a negative light, directing the Department of the Interior to ensure that national park sites focus on the greatness of the achievements and progress of the American people. That was reiterated on May 20th with an order from Interior Secretary Doug Burgum giving the NPS and other public land agencies 120 days to replace content that inappropriately disparages Americans, past or living. The controversial signage now posted at every national park site across the country. The Sand Creek Massacre site, one of 13 national park sites in Colorado. About an hour away is the Amachi National Historic Site, where those of Japanese descent, a majority of them American citizens, were forcibly incarcerated during World War II.
A lot of the things that we're trying to bring out with the history is just being heard, the historical facts. And depending on how they're told, they can be interpreted as personal attacks, and that's not the intention at all.
I'm here at Amachi National Historic Site, and right here is a new national park signage put up all over the country. And right next to it, this is an act of defiance. Someone in the past few days has put this sign up, essentially mocking this. Take a look at what this says.
It was the spring of 1942, and President Roosevelt decided to treat people of Japanese descent a fabulous free vacation at one of 10 fantastic luxury resorts. The language clearly making light of the seriousness of the incarceration camps, this small act of protest showing the whitewashing fears some have for these sites.
I think our country is really strong enough to understand the history of our nation in its totality. And I think that anything less than that makes us weak. I think it hurts our future, and in many ways it denigrates the people who came before us.
In response to the new signage, a representative from the Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes sent a statement saying, "It is sad that our true history is once again being pushed aside for a glorified version of the oppressor." In Southeast Colorado, I'm Brett Forrest, News 5.
You may not notice a change to the signs at national parks here in Colorado yet, but sources tell News 5 the nationwide review of these signs has started on the East Coast. It is not clear when the review might come to our state.
We can't just keep sitting here and letting this happen.
High school students taking action. Just ahead, how they are demanding change when it comes to gun violence in our state and at schools. Here at News 5, we look for stories about people who are actively seeking change in our community. Guns in our schools and the violent acts that have happened this year because of them have prompted students to speak up. Senior reporter Megan Glova sat down with a few local students who are behind an anti-gun movement.
This moment made an impact.
Somebody brought a fully loaded handgun to school at Mesa and a BB gun.
Weapons found on campus. El Paso County Sheriff's deputies arrested 2 students at Mesa Ridge High School in Colorado Springs last month. And just 2 days before, 2 students shot at Evergreen High School outside of Denver. The student suspect died after turning the gun on himself.
You know, children shouldn't have to fear for their life. Parents shouldn't have to fear for their children.
Mars Felch attends both the Haven School and Mesa Ridge, a senior sick of gun violence. Now pushing for change consistently through protest, all put on by students.
It was like, oh wow, something needs to be done now. Like, we can't just keep sitting here and letting this happen.
5 days after the arrest at Mesa Ridge, Felch and other student organizers led a walkout during the school day. Motivated by 2 incidents involving guns and gun violence, both hitting close to home.
People think that teenagers don't have the cognitive ability to understand these really deep, sophisticated situations, but like, we are at the forefront of all of it, so we definitely understand it a little more than people think we do.
Another student-led protest outside Janitel Junior High School put on just a week later. A smaller turnout, but a big statement remains.
We need stricter rules, we need better security, we need all these different things.
Meet Madeline Haley, another Mesa Ridge senior and protest organizer.
We don't want other schools to have to deal with the fear, the anxiety, the aftermath, the PTSD of what we had to go through on the 12th of September.
Which is why protest is just the start of student-led action.
I'm hoping to write to the Colorado state government and their representatives and tell them we need change. We need our voices heard.
I'm going to talk at city council meetings. I know a lot of other people are trying to do that, and talk to the school board. We're in contact with state legislators. We're trying to push that. My main goal in all of this is to get legislation on the ballot on gun safety and gun reform.
They say it's a scary time to be a student.
I had a school shooting threat 2 times in middle school and 3 times in high school. So I've lived through 5 so far.
But think their generation can make all the difference.
The students at Mesa Ridge can help at least a little bit by protesting gun violence and getting safer laws in place.
Your voice matters, and your education is so important.
Megan Glova, News 5.
We did get the results, and that all of the wipe test surfaces that he tested all came back positive in every room.
This local homeowner wants accountability. A repair job exposed asbestos in her home. Up next on this special edition of News 5, she shines light on her story so the same thing does not happen to you. News 5 is dedicated to seeking solutions for you and making things right. And you may remember this next story. A woman in Pueblo has been paying her mortgage for nearly 2 years, even though she can't safely live in her home after what seemed to be a simple home repair turned into anything but. Her mom reached out to News 5 senior reporter Tony Keith to get some answers.
My grandpa bought us our house.
Rocky Valero was holding back tears as she shared how she was able to purchase her first home in Pueblo about 2 years ago.
My grandpa saved for me through his life, and he passed, and I used the money to buy this house.
The home had an old gravity furnace and the ducts needed cleaning, so she called a professional.
He said that he could not clean the ducts because they were asbestos wrapped, and looked at the furnace, saw there was a little rusted on the inside, so at that point suggested updating, doing a whole new furnace, and that way they could clean the ductwork.
Rocky received an estimate from the company on January 10th, 2024, with work starting a few days later on January 15th. Something I wanted to point out, the estimate included terms and conditions. We always recommend looking over these, but a lawyer I spoke to says something else you can do is run each section of a contract through AI so you have a better understanding of what you're signing, asking the AI source to put it in layman's terms. Rocky agreed to pay about $30,000 through a loan for the work. Work, she says, turned her life upside down.
When did you realize something was wrong?
After I came home the first day, because I came home and no plastic was put up, nothing was separated.
January 23rd, 2024, Rocky tells me asbestos testing was ordered by the company doing the work.
We did get the results, and that all of the wipe test surfaces that he tested all came back positive in every room.
A document I obtained from the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment confirmed Rocky's fear. January 24th of 2024, a major asbestos spill. Rocky said at first, the company that did the work helped them out by putting them in a hotel for 11 days. But then she tells me the help and the communication stopped.
Here's Hagrid. He's our boy cat.
Since early 2024, Rocky and her boyfriend Caleb Diaz have been living with friends.
It feels like it's crippling us a little bit, right? It's taking a toll on everybody. And at the end of the day, I think something should be done, and I just want something to be done.
Rocky tells me they tried to seek legal help, but the document they signed with the company that did the work prevents them from filing a lawsuit. An arbitration must take place in Broward County, Florida.
I just want the abatement. I just want this to be covered to get back in my house.
I learned through the state that the property owner needs to take action following an asbestos spill. It's up to the property owner to submit a permit application to complete the abatement work, something Rocky tells me she's now doing nearly 2 years after the spill. I'm Tony Keith, News 5.
We have reached out multiple times to the company but have not received a response. We will continue to push for a resolution in this case.
It was worth the trip. It's just beautiful up here.
An art display in the sky that broke the internet. Up next, how it was a magnet for a small mountain town right here in southern Colorado. Finally tonight, how a sleepy El Paso County mountain town woke up all because of a massive outdoor art installation. You may have made the trip to Green Mountain Falls earlier this year for the Off the Beaten Path display. Look how beautiful it is. It added momentum to the town's Green Box Arts Festival in July. It stayed out for months until the windy weather brought it to an abrupt halt in October. News 5's Bill Folsom takes a look at this piece of Colorado culture and its impact on Green Mountain Falls.
Art constantly evolving with the whims of weather.
When the wind picks up, it creates these big symphonic waves that, are just like dramatic and powerful.
Patrick Shuren studied the weather as part of the creative process as the piece Off the Beaten Path was imagined. A few days before the planned dismantling, wind in the forecast also influenced the decision to bring it down a few days early.
Opted to take it down safely.
Had two different friends come up here.
So you gotta come.
Yeah, you gotta come.
These day trippers from the Denver area just missed it. They also don't feel like they've wasted their time. There is more art to see, and the longtime Colorado residents discovered the small town of Green Mountain Falls.
And it was worth the trip. It's just beautiful up here.
On a daily basis, we'll meet people who have never been here before, maybe to Colorado before, but certainly never to Green Mountain Falls.
Visitors, the likely result of viral social media posts that started spreading at the beginning of this year's Green Box Arts Festival.
Either saw an image of the work or saw a TikTok or other social media or your piece from earlier in the summer, and it really made people intrigued to see what is this and what does it look like in 3 dimensions.
That many tourists in town, they're hungry, and when you have one of the few places in town for them to eat, they're absolutely going to come give you a try.
Small business owners in the small community rely on the town's appeal, especially in the summer, to attract customers.
Town full of tourists who just want to take a deep breath in the mountains.
Viral art made for one of the busiest summers they can remember.
Business was up.
Free and outdoors in a public place makes it hard to count exact numbers. Unofficial counts show more visitors each day than the town's 600 residents.
But we think easily over 100,000 people from all 50 states and a number of international countries stopped by Green Mountain Falls.
I'm proud of the work we did, and I'm very grateful to Green Box Arts and everyone that came to see it.
It absolutely far exceeded any of our expectations as related to visitation.
We'll be back.
An art piece now headed for recycling has left an impression and hopeful expectations for more art and a mountain town visit in the future. In Green Mountain Falls, Bill Folsom, News 5.
Thank you, Southern Colorado, for trusting us to listen to you. Tell your stories and stand up for what's right. Good night.